Hi, my name's Bryce. Not John, as is a common misconception around my bit, but I did start working for a fella by that name back in 2013. John Zambonini, from an Italian immigrant family, opened a wee hardware store on Westmuir Street in Parkhead back in 1988. The shop was originally a bit further down the street, on the next block. That got knocked down to build houses sometime in the 90s. I still have regular customers who remember it. They tell me how it was tiny compared to this new shop, but still an Aladdin's cave where John could dig out whatever he needed. Fae a needle to an anchor, as they say. He sadly passed away not long after retiring in 2021, by which point I had taken over the business. He was well respected in the area. One of his highlights in the time I knew him was the honour of being a baton bearer for the Commonwealth Games relay in 2014, carrying it right into Celtic Park.
I've been trading for 7.5 years. When I first started, my experience was good, it's been good overall. But when I first started, there was drug addicts a lot in the area, a lot of dirt, and they kept on coming into the shop and stealing, so it was bad to begin with, but over time they left and it decreased, so it's been good overall.
John had the good sense to get into key cutting as a focus early on, as well as basic sign engraving, watch repairs, car number plate printing, that kind of thing. All that stuff is what really cemented the shop as being so handy. And it's just as well, because the more generic retail side alone honestly wouldn't pay the bills these days.
I'm a pharmacist and I work in Young and Mere Pharmacy in Parkhead. The pharmacy has been there for many, many, many years. I have had the privilege just to start recently, about a year and a half ago, working in Parkhead. Having worked all over Glasgow and had many jobs, it's probably my favourite job. The people of the East End are absolutely phenomenal. It's very much part of a community, and as a pharmacist there, you're seen very much as part of the community. There's been a lot of changes over the years within the pharmacy. However, patients tend to be very loyal. Their families come in, their grandchildren come in, and it really is a fantastic place from the perspective of family and community, and everyone looks after each other. Quite a lot of poverty in the area from the perspective of a lot of the businesses closing down. Our business in particular is actually looking to invest in the area, so fingers crossed that actually will transpire. We offer loads of different services, which years ago you would never have got in pharmacies, making it much easier for people in the community to access healthcare that they otherwise potentially would struggle with. And as I say, it's just one of the nicest places I've ever worked. Many of the staff in the shop have been there for many years, with one of my girls in particular working there since she was 16, so she's been there for about 15, 16 years. Because where else would you want to work? It's just a pleasure and I love it.
I mean, I came across a handwritten ledger of sales from 1992, and looking at it now, it shows what a different world high street retail was back then. The turnover for this week of recording, but mid-July 1992, when adjusted for inflation, was about 6 times what we take in just now. Then it was followed by 2 weeks closed for the Glasgow Fair holidays. So it was a completely different world. See, this was before Poundland opened nearby in the early 2000s, followed gradually by other big box discount stores like B&M, Home Bargains and The Range. And then obviously the rise of internet shopping in the 2010s. That's about the same time I started working here, in 2013, part-time at first. A couple of days a week around college and that. I didn't expect that 8 years later I would be negotiating how to take over the business myself at 28 years old. But I like the job. You know, you become part of the community. You get regulars who come in trying to catch you out, asking for some obscure thing no other shop would have, or a problem to solve, or just because they've got nobody else to pester. You know, when you're engraving memorials or even just like wedding gifts and stuff like that, you see the meaning your work can have for people. And cutting keys, that's satisfying work. You know, they keep coming up with new types of security keys to keep us on our toes. And Just the inherent problem solving of running a tiny independent DIY shop where everything is done DIY. It's good fun.
My experience in Parkhead spans over 15 years, during which I have witnessed significant transformation in the area, especially before and after the Commonwealth Games. The neighbourhood has evolved remarkably, with new businesses emerging and community spaces being revitalised, making it more vibrant and welcoming place. When I first opened my salon, Parkhead was a different environment, but now it thrives with energy and opportunity, which have positively impacted my business and so a local community.
I don't know if I ended up with the best or the worst job for somebody with ADHD, because there's always 10 things I could be focusing on. Learning to engrave on slate, studying watch repair, designing custom key rings, printing mugs to sell, renovating the shop shelves, making a new website, but it's a privilege. Especially the engraving part of the business. That's where I got excited about the scope for growth and creativity. I like buying new tools and giving myself a headache. And since the 2010s, the engraving industry's been revolutionised with new types of routers and laser machines. So that's what got me set on taking over when my old gaffer started talking about retiring around about the COVID times. And now, 4 years later, I think it was the right move. I've invested in 3 new engraving machines since then. I'll make it work. The high street isn't what it was 10 years ago, or even pre-COVID, where people now used to using Amazon next day, working from home, and buying their cheap widgets direct from China. That TikTok shop is the devil's work. But if someone needs a house or car key cut, they still have to pop in person, and hopefully something else catches their eye while they're here. My goal this year is to expand the giftware side of the business, with a focus on unique or locally inspired designs, but less tartan than zero AI generated Highland cows.
My experience since I've been working in Westmead Street for the past 8 years, it has been a quick one. Since I moved in, it has improved. There's more people in the area, and it's more cleaner. When I used to stay there, there's a lot of dirty out on the street, but now it's more improved. It's clean than the way it used to be before. My being there since 8 years has been great. And
Westmead Street itself, I think the last real peak was before my time. We've seen shops close, various things have come and gone, but actually there are fewer empty units now than there were 10-15 years ago, so that can only be a good thing. We've now got 4 new Polish grocers and bakers, a Kurdish butcher, and we're up to 4 African food shops and 2 African restaurants, making it kind of a community hub. It's a sign of demographic changes as well as the relatively cheap rents in this area. It's still tough though. One Polish run cafe, it's absolutely beautiful inside, just announced that they'll be closing, which is a loss. Cafes are something this area could really do with more of, but that's easier said than done these days. But still, I'm getting new regular customers coming to me from all over the city, from Maryhill, from Uddingston, just because Westmead Street is the place they need to come to for their particular imported stuff. So this international niche that's grown here, it's been a blessing to me. There's stuff I appreciate less too, your vape shops and dodgy tobacco merchants. I don't see that as the best use of the real estate, but in general I like the trajectory, and if I can help steer it, hopefully I'll be here for a long time. Just as long as it doesn't get too nice. We don't want to start paying Denniston rents around here.